The broadcast spread across every human colony like a shockwave. Footage of the massacre played on loop, a peaceful frontier settlement, its families gathered for the annual Founding Day celebration, obliterated in a single coordinated strike by the Galactic Council's fleets. No warning, no ultimatum, no declaration. Just fire, ash, and the silence that follows extinction. The Galactic Council called it an enforcement action. Humans called it what it truly was, slaughter. In the war room aboard the flagship Resolute Dawn, General Marcus Hale stood before 1,000 holo feeds, each showing a different angle of the atrocity. His jaw clenched, ice cold enough to freeze suns. His officers waited, afraid to speak. Hale was not known for rage. He was known for precision. When he spoke, galaxies listened. He lifted his hand, silencing every whisper in the chamber. When he addressed the united human systems, his voice was carried by every satellite, every subspace relay, every ship that bore the flag of sole humanity. He began, "We tried civilized war." He let the words hang. We honored treaties they wrote. We followed rules they imposed. We restrained ourselves, believing the Galactic Council shared the values they claimed to champion. Hale stepped forward, and the holo changed to display the Council's emblem, an ornate, ancient sigil now dripping with digital blood. But today, he continued, they targeted our civilians. Our children. And they dare call it enforcement. A quiet, controlled fury entered his voice. Let the galaxy hear me. Let every empire, every species, every coward hiding behind diplomacy understand. The holo zoomed out to reveal footage of the ruined colony, its remains drifting among burning forests and glass soil. There will be no more civilized war. Murmurs rippled through the officers, through the colonies, through every soldier watching. Hale's eyes burned with a fierce, unwavering clarity. The Galactic Council has shown us their definition of civilization. Hypocrisy, betrayal, and genocide. So from this moment forward, we will no longer fight with one hand tied. He raised his command baton, and a star map unfolded, Council space glowing red. We will answer their massacre with a doctrine they cannot comprehend. We will strike not to negotiate, but to end. Every fleet, every battalion, every specialized division will move without hesitation. The camera zoomed out to show humanity's combined armada, shipyards igniting, dreadnoughts powering up, experimental warships uncloaking like awakening beasts. We did not start this war, Hale said, his voice deepening, but we will decide how it ends. Across the galaxy, Council representatives scrambled, issuing statements, excuses, panic pleas for restraint. They had expected human outrage, not unshackled resolve. Hale continued, unwavering, to the Galactic Council. You called us barbarians because we refused to bend. You called us monsters because we rose too quickly. You called us threats because we survived everything the universe threw at us. He leaned closer to the recorder. You should have left us alone. The feed ended with a final image, humanity's fleets leaving their docks, engines igniting blue fire that illuminated entire hemispheres. In the silence afterward, the Council realized their mistake. Humanity had tried civilized war, now they would show the galaxy something else entirely. As the fleets mobilized, the Council's intelligence network scrambled to predict humanity's next moves. Their analysts, confident in thousands of years of precedent, assumed humans would strike at border posts or supply depots. They assumed humans would protest, posture, demand justice. They assumed wrong. The Resolute Dawn accelerated far beyond expected parameters, humanity's newest hyperdrive pushing the limits of physics. No scouting, no warnings, just motion. A motion that terrified every species that tracked it. Council diplomats attempted emergency contact, but Hale muted the channel every time. He had spoken. Now he would act. Deep within human command, black budget divisions that had never been acknowledged in public finally received activation codes. PSYOPS contingents emerged from classified bunkers. Combat engineers from Earth's Death World regiments prepared weapons that the Council had forbidden for centuries, gravity warheads, corrosive field bombs, neural pulse destabilizers. The first human strike came where no one expected, the Lumerous Archive Station, the Council's most secure data fortress. It held centuries of intelligence, cultural archives, and diplomatic treaties. Instead of obliterating it, humans slipped in silently. A single squad of shadow operatives bypassed defenses that no species had breached before. They didn't steal information, they changed it. When the Council checked their records hours later, they discovered every archived treaty broken by humanity suddenly reflected Council violations. Instead, panic spread. It was a message: humanity could dismantle their legitimacy without firing a shot. But that was only the beginning. General Hale's next move shattered every prediction model. Instead of striking Council fleets, he targeted their pride. The Grand Nexus, a planet-sized diplomatic hub where decisions affecting half the galaxy were made, found itself encircled by a human blockade. Not an attack. A declaration. Every ship entering or leaving was disabled with surgical EMP bursts. Humanity had turned the galaxy's political heart into a ghost town within a day. Council ambassadors protested that such actions violated the Articles of War. Hale simply responded, "You ended the Articles when you ended our civilians." As human fleets expanded their control, alien populations watched in stunned silence. Many species had quietly despised the Council's heavy-handed rule, but none had dared oppose them. The sight of humans, a young species, standing unflinching against the regime sent shockwaves of admiration through oppressed worlds. Meanwhile, deep in Council territory, a rebellion awakened. Species long suppressed by Council taxes and sanctions began rising. Humanity didn't need to incite them, they only needed to act. Hale understood that warfare was not only about weapons, it was about symbols. And humanity, for the first time, had become a symbol of defiance. The Council's military, however, was vast. They finally launched a counteroffensive, a fleet of 5,000 ships, each carrying elite shock troops. They moved toward the human blockade with overwhelming confidence. But humans didn't meet them head-on. Instead, Hale deployed a tactic unknown to the Council: dynamic battlefield phasing. The entire human squadrons flickered in and out of real space, striking from impossible angles, then disappearing before the enemy could lock on. In hours, the Council fleet was reduced to wreckage. Not annihilated, disabled. Hale wanted survivors. He wanted witnesses. When the beaten ships limped back to Council space, their commanders carried a single message: humanity fights like no species we've ever seen. They don't seek territory or dominance. They seek justice. Within the Council chambers, fear thickened the air. The once arrogant delegates argued, blamed, accused each other of missteps. Their perfect order was fracturing. Some demanded immediate surrender. Others insisted humanity was bluffing. None realized Hale was already preparing the next stage. On the far side of the galaxy, human engineers deployed the Polaris Array, a network of satellites capable of creating a galaxy-wide communication jamming field. If activated, the Council would lose command over half its military. Rumors of this weapon spread, causing entire Council divisions to hesitate, wondering if they'd suddenly find themselves cut off. Hale didn't activate it yet. Its existence was enough. Humanity's next action was more symbolic than strategic. They liberated Crixel Prime, a world the Council had kept under martial law for 2 centuries. When the last Council overseer surrendered, the Crixeli wept at the sight of human soldiers offering them food instead of chains. Stories spread rapidly: humans were not conquerors, they were liberators. They punished only those who murdered innocents. The Council attempted one last propaganda push, branding humanity a rogue species. But their lies cracked when survivors of the massacre spoke publicly. Entire galaxies watched the broadcast of human children crying for parents who would never return. Every species felt something stir, a mixture of outrage and grief. And then, resolve, General Hale stood again before the galaxy, delivering a message with the same cold fire as before. This war ends when the Council stops hiding behind politics and faces the consequences of their actions. For the first time in millennia, the Council convened an emergency trial, not for humanity, but for their own warlords who ordered the massacre. Hale watched from orbit as panic spread through their leadership. Justice was no longer theoretical. It had arrived, and behind him, the human armada continued to expand, silent, relentless, unstoppable. The Council finally understood the truth: humanity didn't fight for glory. They didn't fight for conquest. They fought because someone had hurt their people, and no force in the galaxy could survive the storm that followed.